The Honourable Shane Jones.
Mr Chair, your judgment improves as the after goes along. Mr Chair, it's with some disappointment that we are not able to fully support this bill, but I want to give some credit to the Minister and the Chair. Number one, he had both vision and fortitude to carry on the work of Honourable Clayton Cosgrove and myself. But jokes aside, this Minister did grasp the nettle of how we were going to meet the liabilities of the problem which lies beneath the text of this bill, i.e. the problem of the production, completion of buildings largely for residential purposes in New Zealand that turned into aquariums. Now, sir, I'd like to do something uncharacteristic and acknowledge that that Minister did do some good work in that regard. Sir, we have the large issues confronting us in relation to Christchurch and the rebuilding of that area. So we're actually looking forward to learning what are the additional regulations that the construction sector is going to face in that particular rebuild, quite apart, sir, quite apart from the necessity of them taking on board what's in this bill. Because what guided us, sir, was getting the balance between a suitable level of red tape, sir, and some liberty, which is why my colleague, Mr Cosgrove, sir, was adamant that we should not outlaw do-it-yourself building. And, sir, he struck some difficulties in the minds of the officials at that time. But that's for another day, and that's his story. And, sir, one particular provision that is going to bedevil this House is what level of responsibility ought properly to lie with the consent authority. Given, sir, that the consent authorities have their own insurance woes. They, sir, have an insurance company known as Civic Insurance, words to that effect. They then, sir, are dealing with the fact that, as I recall when I was a minister, that the global reinsurers of the world were unwilling to provide much more protection to the New Zealand building consent authorities on giving them any more cover to deal with leaky building problems. So it's a balancing act. How much obligation should we leave with the consent authority? How much with me, the owner? How much with the builder, the actual designer, the architect? And so I think, as our minority report states, we don't feel that the balance, and I must say I wasn't on the select committee at that stage, we don't feel the balance is appropriate. But there are other aspects, simplifying the consent process. Number two, ensuring that where a council dedicates a fair chunk of resource, that it's proportionate to the risk associated with the building that's been created. And so I'd also say a great deal of care and attention is going to be required in the development of the regulations. Because, sir, this piece of legislation actually sets up a new flow of obligations at a subsidiary level. So I look forward, sir, to seeing those regulations, which no doubt will come to the appropriate select committee, because, sir, there is the ability in Clause 42, Part 1, where a building consent is not required. And I actually envisaged at some point in time, as the licensed building practitioner cadre grew, and their skills could be relied upon, that for a growing amount of very simple work, they could be treated like an electrician. Let's use electricians as an example, sir, where you don't need to go to the super city to get a permit to have an electrician come and fix your house. So we've got to somehow get to a situation where we can treat a building practitioner or a carpenter in the same fashion. But, sir, the fears remain that such people could take us into a new phase of problems, either in the rebuilding of Christchurch or a new phase of leaky homes, etc. But I think, sir, that was the philosophy underlying what we thought we were doing in response to what was a significant problem. Although I would say we had a large number of building ministers on this side of the House during the 9-year reign of our peerless leader, Helen Clark. And so we look forward to such times returning at some point in the future, hopefully not too far away. So the other thing I'd point out, sir, I'd point out is that there is an obligation on me, the property owner. And we've got to get, sir, right in so much of our economy. How do you get the obligation that rests with the state rests with the insurance industry, and rests with the individual. Those parts are tolerable.
I call the honourable member Jackie Dean.